So in today's episode, we're diving deep into money. We're talking about what it is like to monetize your presence online as a content creator. How do you even make money on Instagram? Is Instagram paying you, or like how are people making money? And we also talk about how much money can you make with a specific amount of followers to give you an idea on like the potential that exists. So if that sounds like something interesting to you, then stick around because we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of it all. Hey everyone, welcome to Dream Creator Diaries, our podcast about where we get real on what it takes to actually build our dream life through content. My name is Prachi.
And I'm Harsh. We're partners in life and business. For the last 4.5 years, we have been figuring out how to grow our online presence, become full-time content creators, how to monetize our Instagram, and how to turn our personal brand into a full-time income.
And that's exactly why we started Dream Creator Academy, which is our platform where we help beginners like yourself avoid the mistakes that we made and build a life full of freedom without losing your mind in the process.
So if you want some real behind the scenes of content creation, of working with brands, of monetizing your presence online, or of building something that lasts, then you're in the right place.
So let's start with like the first time we made money through a brand deal, what that felt like and how that process launched us into this career path that we have today.
It feels like it was yesterday. I remember the time someone messaged us and went like, hey, are you guys Prachi and Harsh behind this handle? And we have an amazing brand collab for you. And they pitched to us. And I was like, Prachi, you remember? I came to him like, babe, look, like these guys are reaching out to us for brand collaboration.
And they're willing to pay us money. Up until that point, we had done like some barter collabs. So we had already worked with brands, but we hadn't been paid. So the first time we got offered money was like,
yeah, and it was an apparel wear as well.
Yeah,
and
I still have their boxers.
She still uses it.
I still wear those boxers.
But it was really interesting because they came to us asking for a quote and we were like, how much do we cost them? This was like 4.5 years back.
So this is like 2021. We'd just been creating content for a few months, but we'd already grown our account to 100K and we'd done some barter collabs, but we still hadn't made money from this. And then this brand reaches out to us out of nowhere. They send us a DM and yeah, we were so confused on how much to quote. But then we ended up, do you remember how much we quoted?
I think it was around 10K maybe.
10K, right? Yeah, I think we quoted them 10K for maybe one reel or two reels and some stories. I don't know. But it was our first brand collab. We got paid 10,000 rupees. So that's around like $120. And looking back, damn,
we've come a long way.
We've come a long way.
And we've learned so much in the process, right?
Yeah.
How did it feel for you? Like just to be told that you can create content and you can pay charges for this. Like how does it feel?
I remember like we were still doing our digital marketing work. We still had our clients. We were doing freelancing. So we were making money some other way. So we weren't really dependent on Instagram to just start paying us immediately. So we were okay with the time it took for the brand to reach out to us. But then once the brand did reach out to us and we were like, okay, it's proven. Now this concept can generate money. There is revenue here. I think it was just like, damn, we're like doing this. Like we're on the right track and like this is happening. That's how it felt like. And then you remember how we like changed tracks from like earning money as freelancers, digital marketers to doing content full time. Like what was that transition like?
Yeah, I have always been the type of guy who takes like calculated risks, but still taking risks. So I remember us doing this time when we got our first collaboration and then it just followed in. Then we had like collaborations back to back.
And we started making some money here and there.
And as Prachi already mentioned, we were having our own marketing agency and it was pretty much like a freelance gig, I would call it. Initially, once things started rolling well, I remember me telling you that someone needs to go into this full time.
Yeah.
Like this has potential.
Yeah.
This can really grow.
But we weren't able to like give our time equally to our Instagram account and then also to our clients.
Exactly. And that's when I think we made the call that Prachi should go into it full time.
Yeah, but it was so scary. Like I remember you had to convince me.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, like you had to convince me on like, no babe, it's okay. Like you can stop working with these clients. I will handle the client work, but you like go into this like Instagram full time. Like, but it was so scary. So somebody who's watching or listening to this, who's just like, in the process of figuring all of this out, maybe they're starting to make money, maybe they're wondering how to make money. I guess this episode, I want to like bring them in on like how full-time creators make money and like what goes on behind the scenes to make it easier for them, the transition. It was so hard on us, the transition.
Yeah, it took a while for sure. But yeah, initially once we saw that the collaborations were rolling in and there was huge potential there, that's when
And all our collaborations were reached out to us, which is something that I'm super proud of. Like, we didn't really reach out to people to like, hey, can you give us money? I love the fact that we were getting reached out to, and I feel like that's how it should be. Like, you are so invested in your work, you're so invested in just growing your account and like doing the right thing and like making good content that you're not even worried about like, oh, now I need to start making money. The money just sort of comes to you. I love that.
Yeah, it should be a brownie point.
Yeah.
Not the main intent itself.
Yeah.
Like we started creating content with the idea that we want to travel
Yeah.
and like share our experiences with other people.
Yeah, money was not even like on our radar because we didn't know how much money people were making, right? No one was sharing how much money influencers make or content creators make. Like we knew, okay, people in the West and creators that we used to look up to, we knew that they were making a good enough income, but then we didn't know how that translated into the Indian market and how Indian content creators are making money. So we were going in it blind and we had like no idea
Yeah, we were
how
just
it works.
winging it.
And we were just like giving quotes left and right, pulling it out of our pockets and like just saying whatever because we had no idea how much to charge for a reel. Like who knows how much to charge for a reel?
It was so funny. So
Yeah.
like we share my number everywhere. Like initially we shared that. So we would just share the number. People would ask me like, what is the number? I would have a conversation with Prachi. Like, this time kaun sa number try karna? Like, what do you want to try this time? Should we charge more because our following has increased? Should we charge less? What is the thing? And
I think what Harsh meant was we shared his phone number and then they would ask us what kind of quote would you want to give, and then we would just have a discussion on like today what quote to give.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it was quite random at the starting point.
Yeah, it was so random.
And then people go like, okay, fine. And we were like,
Oh wait,
okay.
did we undercharge? Should we be charging more?
Oh, that dilemma in the start,
Yeah.
whether we are undercharging or we are overcharging was unclear. It was very clear when others thought that we were overcharging, they would go like, oh guys, this is way out of our budget. But when they said yes right away, we were
Yeah.
like, oh wait, should have we added one more zero?
Yeah.
Then that was pretty confusing in the
It was
start.
so confusing. But I'm so glad that we didn't give up at any point because there were also moments where like, okay, the money started rolling in, but then it's seasonal, right? With brand collabs, it's not like you make money every month and there's somebody depositing money in your account on the first of every month. It's not a salary. It's not guaranteed. It sort of depends on the brands, on their campaigns, on their seasons, if they are willing to invest in influencers that particular season, that particular month. So it really depends on them rather than on you. So there were so many months where we'd have an expectation of like, okay, this is the number that we need to hit to be able to travel, to be able to like pay our bills, to be able to do everything because it was our full-time income. And then some months we wouldn't hit that target because the brands were not wanting to invest that month or whatever. So it was so like up and down, and it's been that way. Brand collabs are that way.
Yeah, very seasonal. It's a roller coaster. And once we realized that, we used to set targets. We used to go like, okay, last month we made X amount. This month, let's make it 2X or so. We realized that it's not really on us.
Yeah, like it's beyond our control.
It's beyond our control. The one thing we could control is create good content.
Yeah.
Build our community. Increase engagement. Like things like that was in our control. And that's what we actually focused on.
Yeah.
Because we focused on that, I think that's where we were able to charge more over time.
Of course.
Not because we set a target ki we need to get these many collaborations every month.
Yeah.
Because we tried that for a while and we saw we couldn't do that.
Because you can't control that shit.
Yeah, that's based on the campaigns that brands are running, based on seasons, based on budgets, and so many other factors you don't really see on the other side. We kind of winged it over there, but it was nice. But it's been a roller coaster. So we've done like a bunch of collaborations till now, many collaborations, and work with so many brands. What has been that common feeling you get now whenever we work on a brand collaboration? Like, what is that first emotion going through doing the brand collaboration part, and then how do you feel after it?
I don't feel like I have many emotions about it. I feel like I view it as a job. If it's a brand that I want to work with, then it's like I'm excited about it. But if it's a brand that's like I've worked with them a few times before, or like it also depends on like who we're talking to, right? Like, okay, so for someone who's brand new to this, who doesn't really understand how brand collabs work, let's break it down, right? So you as an influencer make money, mostly like 80% of influencers make most of their money by working with brands. So these brands, let's say a skincare brand or a phone brand or like a houseware couch brand reaches out to you and they're like, I see that you have a good enough following. I think we have synergies between your audience and our audience and we'd like to work together. Or you reach out to the brand because you love them. And basically you come up to deliverables that you would do for them on like something like, okay, I will feature your couch in my video and this is how much I will charge you for it. And the brand's more than happy to pay for it because you have the numbers to prove that people are watching your videos, to prove that people are engaging with your videos, and you have good enough like a connection with your community. And that's where it's like a win-win for the brand and for the influencer. So the brand gets the exposure and the influencer gets some money. That's how most influencers make most of their monies, through brand collaborations. So I guess your question was like, how does it feel to, right? Like that's
To work on these campaigns now.
now it's so different compared to the beginning. I think in the beginning it was so exciting. It was like, yay, money. We're gonna like, honestly, like it was about money because where we come from, pharmacy backgrounds, we thought that we were gonna make like a 5 lakh CTC, 6 lakh CTC a year. Like that's what we thought was how much money we would make in a year. So once we started working with brands and realizing like it's not fixed, it's not a CTC, now we can make as much money money as we want to make, it was so exciting. But now it's not that. Now it's different. Now it's like, do I want to work with this brand? Or like, now it's like doing anything for me, like apart from the money.
I get that.
Yeah.
Like, is the brand aligning with us?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, the initial rush of working with brands and getting paid to create content was amazing.
Yeah.
And the fact that we could just keep doing that and build an income out of it. But over time, even for me, it has become like last week, I think I had a conversation with you saying that I just rejected 2 campaigns because they don't make sense for us. They're paying well, they work with us, it fits with the fact that we're traveling, but it just doesn't align with who we are right now.
Yeah.
And rejected those campaigns. So I understand what you mean by it should align with us now. And it should also make sense. Like, how does it make us feel to talk about that one thing? How does it make us feel to share about that product or service with our community? Will they relate with it? Is this something we are using in our real life?
Because in the beginning, it's so exciting. You're like, oh, I'm getting paid. I will just say yes to whatever. Or like, I will work with whatever brand, even if I'm not really using it. Who's going to know? Like, okay, let's be real, right? Every creator has done this at some point or the other. Some creators are still doing this 5 years, 6 years into their career. They're still doing it just for the money. I think in the beginning, it's fine because let's be honest, you do have to make money out of content creation, especially if you're approaching it as a full-time job. But like, how much are you willing to sell yourself?
Yeah.
You know, I feel like there has to be a point where it's like you don't look at the money anymore and you start looking at yourself and the connection you've built with your audience and the trust that they've put in you. Now it's come to a point for us, we say more no than we say more yes. Like, we are declining campaigns left and right, even though they are willing to pay us a lot of money, just because it just doesn't make sense for us anymore.
Yeah, and I think it's taken us a while to
Come to this point. For sure.
Yeah. Because in the start, you're just like, you want to go with it, say yes to everything. But after a point, it just doesn't make sense anymore.
Yeah, I feel like if you're just starting out and you're just starting to make money with this and you're like excited, don't let the shiny object syndrome carry you over and like just get taken on this wild ride, because you can lose integrity and you can lose the trust that you have with your followers, especially if they see through that you're just lying for an ad. Like, don't do that.
Okay, this is another interesting thing that happens in the industry. It's not interesting, it's just something that happened. It's the payment terms and how or when do you get paid. Sometimes you get paid in advance, rarely, and sometimes you get paid after the campaign is live, and different people work on different terms. The majority of the times, the payments get delayed.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
dear wifey,
Yeah.
how do you feel when the payments for campaigns get delayed?
I think that also my relationship with that has evolved over time. Initially, it would impact me so much because we were dependent on that money to pay our bills, to pay for flight tickets, to pay for our travels and all of that. And I used to feel like, why do I have to run after the money that we are owed, especially after we've done the work, the campaign has gone live, everything is done from our end and the timelines and terms and everything has been met. Like, why are you not meeting your terms? It used to feel very like out of control, but now it's obviously evolved. Now it's like, we don't even accept brand campaigns that don't pay us in advance.
Correct.
So we're not even chasing money anymore because we're not even working with brands anymore that don't pay us in advance. So,
Absolutely. But if you're someone who's starting off and just needs some idea of how to work around with this, just make sure everything is discussed on email.
Yeah.
That's the official place.
because the thing is, in India, especially in the Indian market, people discuss it on WhatsApp. So they'll call you or they'll WhatsApp you and they'll send you all these details. And if you just leave it on WhatsApp, it's very casual. We wouldn't recommend that. We would recommend you to like have them send you an official email or like a, what's that called? Like a document that you sign.
An agreement which you sign.
An agreement, a DocuSign or something that holds both of the parties accountable, holds you accountable to fulfill on the promise that you said, and then also holds them accountable to like pay you in the timelines that you've discussed. Because it still happens, and it happened with us 6 months ago, where a brand will send you they'll send you an email, they'll confirm everything, and then they won't follow through. Maybe we'll go on into this story next time and another podcast, which will be brand fails, and every time we've been failed by a brand, but maybe not in this one because then this podcast will be too long.
Yeah, but either way, you have to make sure that because you followed through, you completed your deliverables. The deliverables we call is like a reel or a story or whatever. You did it on time. Now it's the brand's point or the agency which is involved to make sure you get paid on time.
Yeah.
And if you're just someone who's starting off or are already on their journey, make sure you get these things discussed on email for sure.
Yeah, because it's so important. But then also after you discuss it on email, some brands have the audacity to not follow through. It's
a different
disheartening.
podcast.
It's so disheartening.
Yeah, I think that's a very long-term podcast.
Yeah.
All right, so let me ask you this. What are different phases, according to you, in how we make money as creators? Like in a year, what are those times? And you know, this time we're going to get more money.
If we're just talking about brand collabs, so brands have seasons, which means they follow trends of what's going on in the year, in the market. So a season would be something like Valentine's Day. So Valentine's Day is a big campaign, and when Valentine's Day rolls around, we know that we're going to get like 10x the amount of brand income that we would otherwise get in another month, because it's just such a popular season for brands to invest into their marketing. So Valentine's Day is one, and then Diwali is a big one, Christmas is another one. These big festival seasons are like when
We know that
a lot of money is coming
we are like,
in.
yes, we are ready.
Yeah.
Okay, let me be honest with you. Ask you a very real questions. How has your relationship been with money and the mindset about collaborations? Like, how has that evolved? And how do we look at it now?
How did you look at it?
You know, I think that since the start, and this might sound too filmy, but I always felt that everyone deserves equal opportunity. So like, if we are not getting an opportunity, someone else should get that. Over time, it has just become more like abundant mindset. Maybe initially, I would think that if a campaign has come our way, we have got to close it, because if we don't agree on the price point, it will be passed on to someone else. But now,
Yeah, and that would make us be like, okay, let's just agree to whatever price they're saying. Even if it's like 50% of what we quoted, we would just agree to it.
Yeah.
Because there was that, I feel like that scarcity was there.
the scarcity mindset. But now it's like, it's okay if we are not saying yes to this price point, we will say whatever price point we are working at. If it doesn't work with us, it will pass on to someone else who would want to work at this price point. And it's great for them because there's some other opportunities waiting for us and other brands who want to agree and work with us at our terms and our worth.
Yeah.
So that mindset has kind of switched for me.
Yeah, for sure. For me too. I think initially it's so different where you're just like, okay, say yes, like work with any brand at any price point or whatever, just make money. You're just so focused on monetizing it. And it's not a bad thing per se, but like you're so into it, you can't zoom out and look at the big picture. So you're just in the mud saying yes and like doing things you would otherwise not do if you weren't at that point in your career. But now I feel like it's just whatever. If a brand wants to work with us, cool. If they don't, cool, that's fine too. You'll probably find someone else to work with that's a better fit for your campaign. So it's definitely evolved now. And I think that also comes from us not being dependent on brand collabs, right? As our only source of income. So if you're talking about money and how we as creators make money, it's very different from how other creators make money. I feel like we all have our own way of figuring this out. Some people are 100% dependent on brand collabs and they love that. Some people are not even doing brand collabs and they're making shit ton of money via content creation. There's like so many ways to monetize as a creator. And we talk about this inside our academy if you're interested. I feel like for us, we're not dependent on brand collabs anymore as we were in the beginning. In the beginning, I feel like it was brand collabs was 100% of our income. And if there were no brand collabs, there was zero income, which happened in a few months. And that made us so scared where we were like, okay, now we got to take more control.
I totally agree. So this is something I feel we had difficulty figuring out is to how to increase our charges or how to increase how much we quote for each deliverable. Did you ever feel like, oh, this is too much?
Yeah. I guess, yeah, some points it did. But then some points it also felt like we're definitely undercharging. But we just don't know because we don't know what everyone else is doing. That's another thing is like there isn't much transparency between creators, right? We know so many creators, but I don't think anyone's ever spoken about how much do you charge or like no one's ever felt like it's comfortable sharing it. And it's not just like I'm talking about Instagram relationships. I'm talking about even real life. Like we've spent days traveling with creators. This topic has never come up because I feel like everyone is just so like
uncomfortable talking about it.
I feel like that as a culture, we're not comfortable talking about money.
And I kind of get it, you know?
Yeah.
Because like just not being a creator, even like people who have jobs.
Yeah.
Like you don't always talk about how much you're earning or like if you have a business, you don't always openly share those numbers.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Somewhere there is a very like an internal thing that...
But I don't know if that's an internal thing or that's just like the people who control everything don't want you to talk about money because then they're like, if everyone starts talking about money, then we're going to have to start paying them more money. So don't talk about money. I feel like that's where like the company policies and the culture comes into play where you don't want to talk about money because you're afraid of like finding out
what happens.
Yeah, what happens after you do start talking about money.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Like there are rules set in place so that it's all a whisper.
Yeah.
But never like all out like this is how much I made with this.
Okay. So let's do that. Let's break that.
Okay.
How much do content creators make? And let me ask you, if somebody has 10,000 followers on Instagram, they have a primarily Indian audience and they want to start working with brands, how much much do you think they can earn in a year?
Firstly, before I even give like a number, I just want to say that this is all perceived value. It is all how much you think you're worth. So just keep that in mind before I say anything ahead. Okay, that being told, I think if someone has like 10,000 followers on Instagram, let's just break it month by month maybe, or deliverable by deliverable. So if they want to quote for a reel, which is like the most prized asset on Instagram, and say it's a collab reel with the brand or someone else, I think it would be 5,000 rupees at 10,000 followers for a collab reel.
Yeah.
And if they do like 2 collab reels
A month.
a month, so that's
And then there are 12 months. So that's maths. It comes to 1,20,000 in a year. I
Yeah.
feel like that's still very
we are underplaying
conservative.
it. We are underplaying it
That's
here.
very conservative.
Yeah, but that's just a starting point. Now we have to keep in mind that this creator is going to grow.
Yeah.
Like it's not going to be stuck at 10,000 always.
For the whole year. So as they grow, they can start earning more money. Now somebody who's at 100K followers, how much can they earn in a year? I feel like 5 to 10 lakhs easily.
Easy.
With brand collabs. We're only talking about brand collabs. We're not even talking about other ways you can monetize.
Yeah,
And then somebody who's at 1 million followers,
Oh, the sky is the limit.
2 to 10 CR, I guess.
Yeah, means like you just need to know how to pitch yourself and understand what you're worth.
Yeah.
And don't just think one reel.
Yeah.
Think what you can do around that.
Yeah.
Think, okay, I can do a collab reel. I can do a reel without collaboration. I can do a static post, a carousel post.
I can give you extra stories. I can give you content rights. I can be exclusive to you. And then you have to pitch. And or we teach all of this inside our course. But like it's up to you to convert a brand on a higher
Upsell it.
upsell to the brand. If they're like, oh, but we just want to do a reel, you can like quote them higher and be like, but just for this much more, I can give you 3 stories. And so you basically increase the return that you would get. But there's so many ways to do this. But yeah, content creators are earning a shit ton of money. And I feel like not enough people understand that they're able to completely like surpass their otherwise 10 years of
Corporate life.
within months if they know what they're doing. So there's so much
Like untouched potential over there.
Yeah. And I also feel like people just want to know how much money content creators are making because it makes you feel like, oh, now I'll start creating reels. But like, do you know how hard it is to create reels and to create good content? Anybody can post a video on Instagram and be like, why am I not getting any views and why am I not getting any brand collabs? Have you seen your content? It's shit. But not enough people want to like know that. People just want to be like, oh, I've posted 10 reels, now I want to start making brand collabs. That's not how it works. It has to be good content. It has to be viewed by someone.
I agree with you totally. Like there has to be a process to it. Everyone just looks at the glitter, the diamonds, and they're like, I need this glitter, I need this diamonds.
Yeah.
But like there's a process. You have to like set up things. You have to understand why you're doing this, what value you're providing.
It takes time. You don't just like go from 0 to 2 crores in a year. I mean, for some people you do, but like otherwise it takes time for you to build up yourself enough and also change your money mindset enough that 2 crores a year seems normal to you. Because to so many people it's like, oh, I could maybe make 2 crores a year after I'm 50 years in one industry and now I'm the regional manager of the place and now I can make this much. No, that's not how it works. It's all in your brain and how much you think you're worth and how much you think you deserve.
And I love the fact that we've actually broken this down in our own course, which is Instagram Lab. And because there's so many steps that you need to know before you reach that point.
Yeah.
The time in which you reach it is completely on you, also based on the algorithm and all those factors. But if you put in the time and effort and you follow the sequence, you can actually get there. And
But
not just
so many people are not willing to do that. So many people listening to this podcast will listen to the numbers we just said on how much people with 1 million followers can make. And they are like, oh, yes. And then they post 10 videos because they're so excited. And then those 10 videos get 0 views. And then they get discouraged. And then they don't want to put in the other like 100, 1000 videos that will get them to that point.
Very true. Yeah, that's why you need like a very strong foundation, I think,
Yeah.
like a very strong why. Like there are creators out there who didn't have any reach, any views, forget money. They didn't have any audience for the first couple of years. Big names like Mr. Beast, for example, he was creating content for years on years without anyone watching it.
But he loved the process of making videos so much that he didn't miss a single upload week. And now he's a billionaire with a B. Do you know how much money that is?
And he's a content creator.
Yeah, he made that money, started off making that money with YouTube and videos. Like the potential is untapped. There's no limit. It all exists in your brain.
Once you're able to clear all that fog and understand that, okay, if I put in the right effort in the right direction and I have a good foundation, I'm not just doing this for the money.
Yeah.
The money is like a great brownie point which runs it eventually. Once you have that strong foundation, you can make it there, and you have to just believe. That's the important part.
Yeah. I hope you guys found that interesting. We spoke about money, we spoke about our money mindset around content creation, about brand collaborations, and this was just touching the surface. If you guys are interested in learning more from us, our names are Prachi and Harsh again. We started off with creating our personal brand on Instagram, and then because we want to help you guys, we started an academy called Dream Creator Academy to help you guys figure this out without losing your mind.
And if you're someone who's like stuck on Instagram, or you have been creating for a while and you have a certain audience but don't know how to monetize that, then you should check out our Instagram page, Dream Create Academy. It has all the information that you need.
And if you're more interested in learning about this for real and you're willing to put your money where your mouth is, then you should check out the link in our bio or the link down in our description. And yeah, we hope to welcome you in our community someday. And thank you for watching, or thank you for listening to this podcast if you're on audio, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.